Hello, YouTube. Oh, stupid. This is Taz Olsen here, and I'm going to be doing a VFX breakdown of my recent production, Desperate Measures 2 Global Assault. It went up on YouTube a while ago. I'll have a link in the description so you can observe it, seeing as that is what we are going to be breaking down. And basically, this entire thing it took a long time to do. It took us, like, 5 days to film. It took 2 days to write, although I don't see why I really wrote anything, because after everything, no one really read the script or knew anything about the script when they were going up to actually the shoot. I have to tell everyone their lines right ahead of time and all kinds of stuff like that. Really doesn't matter. So, yeah, a lot of it was improvised, as could be obvious. I had never really seen any of the locations at all before the day of shooting, except some of these days we went to, like this field we went to also for the final day, which was actually shot on the second day. Anyway, so this is the project file. It is absolutely massive. It's got hundreds and hundreds of clips that are all mashed together over a long amount of time, and down here the bottom 3 or 4 is all my music. It looks like the bottom 3. These are all my music tracks used to create the audio. I've got the levels set all weird. Everything had to be, pretty much every shot, or every audio sound, well, not this one, but pretty much all of them are all boosted, which really sucks, and that's kind of why some of it was really loud, is because pretty much all of it got boosted, because as soon as I got to one point, oh, I gotta boost this even more, and I gotta boost this even more, this thing has to be heard, but then this has to be heard over that, and it was just like a never-ending cycle, and eventually it's just, I don't want to go back. It'd be too much work to take it all back. So it's just a really loud video. Yeah. So anyway, yes, we actually shot this in 5 days. We didn't shoot it in order, quite obviously. We shot, the first day we actually shot this scene with the gang fight scene, basically, where Ezra Hamish goes in. He's looking for information. And he gets jumped, basically. And we had what is, I think, my favorite prop of all time, were these pieces of paper that literally said "not info" and "not money," which became a little bit of a joke later on in the film. Yeah, a lot of these files were changed a little bit. Some of them were actually horrible on audio because I don't have a proper audio rig, so you could hear some pretty bad wind in a lot of the shots, and all the shots with wind were actually enhanced. Like, this is all the stuff I have done to certain clips here. Gotta make sure the audio is all good, and if there's just a jump of wind with no vocals there, or no one saying anything, I just like cut that out all together. Took a long time to do the audio for this film, and even longer to do the video, because we've got a ton of tracks in Vegas. This is just like my like, this isn't my compositor where I do all the massive editing. This is just where I put all the files together. And it was havoc. I got this entire layer just for this scene because I wanted certain color correction. And most of the color correction was actually done within Sony Vegas, which is what I'm using here, with the Magic Bullet Looks plugin, which is fantastic. And I rock at spelling. I've seen better days. Yeah, but it is really fantastic at what it does. We were able to accomplish quite a few things within this, and a lot of people underestimate the power of color correction. They also underestimate the power of audio, because some of these things without color correction, well, this one would be fine probably, but yeah, some of these shots without color correction would be crap. Because something like this, well, this scene especially, because it was supposed to be a night scene, it was just horribly thought out, because it was actually a day scene. And I realized when I got into editing it and trying to turn it into a night scene, the scene was actually like way too bright to possibly make it into a night scene. This is after going through about 15 different strategies of color correcting. This is what I came up with, and it was about, oh, yeah, it's not even that good. Like, this is the one scene I really hate the color correction for. But it was kind of neat how it was actually a Malibu that we were recording with, and we turned it into a Mustang. Just because. Anyway, I think we should really start going into some of the After Effects stuff. Untitled Project. There's nothing here. Anyway, let's go to wherever this is. Let's start with scene 1. This was a rather small scene. This scene is the jail scene, where Thomas Woodstock breaks out of jail, originally shot in a gym, just like Thomas Woodstock's underground base scene, which is around here somewhere. Here we go. These scenes taken in a gym. Same gym. We requested someone to allow us to make use of their gym. So, yeah, we went to a church's gym, set up a lot of, these track points all along the walls, which really were kind of useful, although the 3D tracks weren't exactly perfect. It was alright. I was using the After Effects tracker that's based in the actual program, so it was a little sketchy. But yeah, basically you just take electric tape, make a whole bunch of these little X's around the room. Like, I'm pretty sure the 3D tracks would be about 400 times more horrible if we did not do this beforehand. And to any video maker out there who tries 3D tracking a scene, this is the way to go. Use these 3D specs, these 3D trackers essentially, or they even work for 2D tracking. But yes, we've got, this is kind of a boring scene, however, it is my favorite. Basically, what we did here, I don't know why I keep saying we, because it was just me, but after we did adjustment layers for color correction, which, look at that difference, that's a fantastic difference, really changes the whole mood of the scene. Anyway, and yeah, this is just a lens flare, no real purpose other than that. We've got this here, which if we take off the motion blur, oh, it's not even on, because it's all within here. Don't know why I did that. But yes, we used Element, which is a huge part of this entire production, was Video Copilot's Element 3D plugin, which just does amazing stuff. I was able to go online, find a basic Nerf Streamlight and Dart model. I'm no modeler yet, and I didn't have time to learn, so it was just, okay, let's learn everything in 3ds Max, because it's, or not 3ds Max, haven't learned that program yet, Element 3D, and everything will become significantly easier. And yet did this, did a really stupid coloring. I don't even know why I did illuminate. I just like this material is illuminated for reasons unknown. But I basically just grabbed ones from here. I did the 2-color and the illuminated, and I swapped one of the colors on 2-color. And then I just animated where it was. Pretty simple. And then I did another one that had a mask of his body on it, because I did not want it to go past, so that way I could sort of make a shadow for him, as you can see here. And this is roto brushed out, and that's how we did it. Because roto brush was also a huge part of this. It made pretty much everything possible, just in general. But it was fantastic. Alright, so we're going to take that off. We can delete this stuff, not like it really matters because I'm not going to save, hopefully. I remember when I did this the first time, it took me like 3 hours, and hey, Camtasia, I'm just going to decide to not save your file. So I swapped over to Debut Video Capture, because that program has almost never let me down. It's fantastic, and I don't know why more people don't use it. It's just so much better than Camtasia, in my opinion. So yeah, then we mostly in this scene it was basically a whole bunch of scenes like this, and I'm going to show you how we did this. This particular one, I don't believe we actually did a 3D track for. We actually, well, this is the original, and I think I probably should have moved that over a bit more. Anyway, we just 2D tracked it, which is where we get, I believe we have a null around here somewhere. Oh, no, we 3D tracked it. And moves around. And so this room was basically entirely made out of just 3D walls. I took a whole bunch of flat textures, just textures of walls that I googled basically, and put them in 3D space, lined them up roughly, and did that. I also have this door comp where I took this texture I got from online, and if we go into Layer, New, Camera, I'll show you. I just lined up 4 of these textures, a little bit off, and so it all lined up perfectly. Yeah, put them a little bit off, rotated 2 of them, and basically made a mini 3D room, turn it into a door, yada yada. Not a big deal. Pretty basic stuff for the most part. And then we have optical flares. I guess that's why I use the cameras, because that way it moves in 3D space. Woo! Yeah, I got this 3D door, which really sucks when you don't actually know the dimensions of your camera, because that led to issues with some of these later shots. This one in particular. Where, if we go down to quarter, we can see this is definitely not 3D tracked. Load. Oh, right, it's got a roto brush. Now I'm just gonna shut the roto brush layer off. And this. And this. And so basically we've got these 2 layers, or these 2 doors. I just duplicated it and moved it over a bit. But because I didn't know the exact dimension of the camera, I couldn't get anything to track perfectly onto it. With most of the things I didn't like, because it changes the warp of the camera. For example, I have it set to custom here, but if I change it to 28mm, it changes. 80mm, it gets closer. 24mm, anything like that. You see what I mean? Is it changes based on what kind of camera it is. So I tried to track that using, where is it? Door Edge. Is this it? Oh, where's the main one? I'm like horrible at organizing these things. Oh, Rotobrush is propagating. That's the one thing I hate about Rotobrush, is the fact that it takes forever to do this stuff. There we go. Here it is. I basically took this. I used the RG Red Giant corner pin plug-in, and it basically allows you to take where a point is and move it around. And when I was playing with it, it looked like it was in 3D space, so I assumed it probably was. And it wasn't until actually when I rendered it that I realized, no, it didn't quite work. It looks kind of crap because it moves horribly. And also, that's partly because I had to basically guess where that door was, because as you can see, none of these points are actually where they should be. Like, none of these points are on screen, so that's what I had to deal with. I originally assumed that, hey, a 3D camera should work fine. But I learned the hard way, and so that's my issue. But that was simple, and also a simple way how we one of the main issues I came up with when I was trying to do scenes like this is, actually I like the this shot better, because basically what the issue was is we could get everything moving, like we could get all these 3D walls moving up and down and all around wherever we needed them to, but we had issues with, where is he? Our main character looking kind of stupid, because if we do this, it really doesn't blend into the scene very well, and we could color this a little bit and probably get something, but I wanted to actually be able to cast light on him, and I liked the way that the light was already in the scene. I didn't want to have to try to work on him within this shot. I could have stabilized him probably, but who knows. Yeah, probably could have stabilized him, put him in 3D space, scaled him up, and a whole bunch of other crap that I really didn't care to do. So what I did, I just took the shot of him, and I pre-composed him. This is like one shot, I think probably the first shot I've ever masked with nulls. Basically, I made alpha mats of a bunch of these things. Did a mask of what he looks like here, or where he is in this shot. Made an alpha mat of it, and just parented it to a null, and he moves around. And it worked pretty decently. It looks better in full quality, but yeah. And then I was able to put them all in 3D space and cast a light on him. I guess I'm not doing a tutorial, so I don't really need to go too in depth with this stuff, and I don't want to spend forever like I did last time. Anyway, that's going to be it for this particular scene. Yeah, just cast light on him in 3D space. I did this a lot, because also if I decide to put him in 3D space now, if I decide to put him in 3D space, it really goes all wacky. This is the one that's actually him. Yeah, if I put him in 3D space, I find that camera times camera kind of sucks, because the camera's already in the shot, and I really don't want to have to be dealing with the camera being in the shot. So, yeah, don't want to be dealing with the camera being, sorry, where am I? Because the camera would actually, it's already moving, as we can see, This is without anything, and if I put him in 3D space, he then becomes affected by the camera. So if I turn this 3D on, let's just shut the light off. But if I turn this 3D on, I find camera times camera equals, like, stupid. So it goes absolutely crazy here. So I just didn't want to deal with that. So I did that. And that's what the scene looks like without the light. Light be amazing. That's why God said, let there be light. Because he realized it's going to help guys like me eventually. It looks so much better. But yeah, let's move on to scene 2, which is actually not scene 2. That is more like scenes... I don't know. It was the first one I actually tried doing, and for some reason I named it scene 2. Interesting fact is, I'm pretty sure that this script followed the script so badly, or what we actually did followed the script so badly. I think I actually moved some of these scenes around a bit. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I read the script, but I didn't actually look on the script when I was organizing the video clips. I'm pretty sure I actually moved some of these around. So it's not actually in the right order, but I used it in the way that made by far the most sense. Alright, so scene 3. This one, nice short scene. It was easy to do. I could do it in like a day or two. It was nice, and it was incredibly simple. Basically, it's adding a wanted poster to every shot. Here's the shot without the wanted poster. Here's the shot with the wanted poster. Nice and simple. So, basically what we have here is we got 2 copies of the wanted poster. One of them, this is, it's alpha matted with this because I want it to be able to have shadows on it. Because that was one extra bit of realism I wanted to be able to add to a video, was moving shadows on it and stuff like that. But I didn't really do that much in this layer. Basically, track the spot, this little point here. I like using like very defined points to just pin all my stuff to. And yeah. Made a null out of it. Just 2D track worked perfectly fine. Move it down. What do we got here? Shadow. So now it casts a shadow on the tree. Probably should have turned this into like multiply or overlay. Overlay's a little light, but it's already 100. Whatever. And yeah, that's why it's matted to this. Because this is just a track of that. Anyway, not a big deal. Then we get into the shots that are a big deal. There was a couple at this angle. I like this angle quite a bit, so I use shots from it. And I'd really rather not have to be rendering at full resolution right now. I didn't do any of the color... Excuse me. I didn't do any of the color correction within the scene this time, but it was actually kind of complicated. 15 layers, so it wasn't the most complicated thing. I've done stuff in this video. There were several, like almost everything within the underground base scene here has like 50 layers pretty much. Not even exaggerated. Like there's so many things that I've added in and tracked in and just move the scene around. Anyway, you'll see when we get there. This is something I actually kind of liked how it worked. This track was not entirely perfect. I put a little bead on there. Rotobrush propagating, of course. Yes, I put a little bead on the end here. Oh, more rotobrush. Yeah, there's a lot of rotobrushing in this particular shot. I put that little bead there. It was supposed to be like a pin, which is from... Really, it's a sphere in Element. That's all it really is at all. Woo! which is apparently not a perfect sphere because I can see something moving here. Anyway, not a big deal. It's something I added only to this shot because I forgot to do in the rest of the shots, but from there, let's go layer by layer explaining what everything was. This is the overtop mask, roto brushed out, and this is because he's over top of the wanted poster. This way he appears over top of the wanted poster. This is one of my many shadows, because I started with a copy of it here, tracks around, all nice, and then I started going bit by bit and adding shadows. I added some softer shadows to this side, added some darker shadows to this side because it's a bit darker on this side, but it's also dark on here. How I did some of these things, this is basically just roto brushed because what it actually is, when we take off the exposure, fast blur, we can just show you on the bottom. It is these little actual shadows that were in the shot, just roto brushed and then, put on top. And there we get some of the shadows. I also did one set of shadows somewhere. Maybe it was on a different shot. Yeah, I also used the page turn effect. One for each corner, so there's 4 of them. And I just used it to make it look like it's not a perfectly flat object. As you can see, I can take this, fold it, all kinds of crazy ways. I originally was planning to do some wind on it, but I just never got around to it. Seeing as it was actually a fairly windy day, that particular day. Yeah, I was able to give it that not quite perfect feel, also for more of a Western look at the wanted poster. Wanted poster I basically just composited together. It was really simple. Anyone who's used After Effects for more than a week understands exactly how that's done. And rough at edges, it really gave a little bit more of that imperfect edge look, because that's kind of what you are going for. And then we have the entire shot. Boom. I'm pretty sure at one point I ended up using the fractal noise to create some shadows. Not sure where that is. It might be in here somewhere, but fractal noise just created some shadows, as you can see here. Anyway, on to the next scene. Don't save. Alright, and I'm also going to get some water, because I'm thirsty. Alright, whew, I was gone for a long time. Was I? I don't know. It's not like it really mattered to you guys, because I came right back. Anyway, on to scene 4, which is, we'll find out when we open it. Do. If it opens. Well, at least After Effects isn't really crashing. I was working on a project earlier that kind of crashed it, which it's basically a template for a tutorial, which I'm hoping to start getting back into. I've got some ideas for some really cool tutorials. Remake the entire way I do tutorials. Make them good, for one. Make them actually become a really nice effect, and make them a lot more unique and scene-based, sort of the way they do on Video Copilot. Alright, so, what do we have here? Oh, this is the fight scene in the alleyway. So I think we should probably start off with some of the earlier shots, just because it would make sense. and that kind of worries me. Okay, that's weird. It's all black and white in the preview. Anyway, here's what we got for the entire color corrected shot. And basically, he takes his gun out and does a whole bunch of firing. So basically how we did all this is we took a whole bunch of gunshots, and which should be, I am like horrible at organizing these things. When I'm doing it, it all makes sense. I know exactly which layer does what for the most part, but when I come back to do it like a month later to look at it, yeah, it doesn't really matter what's going on. But mic face null. So basically, I took a few nulls. I tracked them to one to well MP5K. I think that is. I don't know. It's plastic. It doesn't really matter. And so then what we did. Why do I have so many friggin' nulls in this scene? Here we go, pre-comp. And so yeah, we took a whole bunch of these automatic machine gun blasts, basically. It fires. I had to change them around a little bit because in reality, this is actually an electronic one. It's got a little light that goes off, which is actually kind of nice because the sound, it meshed quite nicely with the sound I added in. It was just, I don't know, I got it right here. I'll show you the sound. Alright, this is the sound that it actually makes. Kind of fun to play around with, but not exactly the sounds you want to be using in your official video. You know, just saying. So, we went in, and I don't know why I keep saying we. It was just me. Yeah, I take this pre-comp, and the reason I do 2 of each of these layers is because when you're doing videos, especially with action videos or some kind, you gotta have your own style. You know, there's no perfect way to do everything. The only way you could actually make things 100% like real, for sure, is actually fire a gun with a muzzle flare, and you probably get something there. But everything else is a way of simulating what it looks like, and y'all gotta have your own style. You know, like if you're watching Freddie Wong videos, almost every time someone gets shot, there's like this big cloud of blood, which is basically an After Effect or an Action Essentials pack from the smoke, something with smoke, and it's just tinted red. So it's a very simple concept, composited over. But my style is I like to do a muzzle flare, where actually I usually do one. This is one of the very first shots I did in this project, so it's a little different than I usually do. But I usually turn one of these to add, the bottom one to, oh, yeah. I usually turn one to add, one to multiply. And then I'll glow the add one. But in this case, it's just 2 that I'll add, and it doesn't even matter because it's pre-composed. Put that over top, and because this is it's basically meant for 3D space, so if we add in a camera, the 50mm preset is the After Effects built-in camera, essentially. But we can see that these are somewhat in 3D space. And this was a concept that Freddie Wong showed a bunch of people. I believe it was on his 12 Days of VFXmas or something. And it's that, or it's the behind the scenes of when he first used this, at least when I believe he first used it, which is, I can't remember, it's this video where these 3 guys are taking him down, and they all fire at one time, and he stops them. Like he apparently stops time. He goes through, moves them all so they're facing each other. So when the bullet fires, it basically kills all the guys there. Anyway, it was a neat concept. Anyway, let's go on to this. This is all that. On top of that, we did adjustment layers, 3 of them, which I tracked to his face, as you can see by all these nulls that are friggin' everywhere. Tracked 1 for the gun. So I did the basic area around the gun. I really didn't worry about keeping it perfect because it really didn't matter. It's there for literally about a frame. As you can see, these are all the keyframes. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And, yeah, wiggle. Because you want to... I used a wiggle expression on the adjustment layer, which basically moves it... it randomizes it a bit. It's a very nice expression to be able to use, to understand. And so we also... Because I was an idiot and I just liked the idea... I used a lens flare. Yeah, I used a lens flare. I should probably change that to add. Oh, it makes it a bit too bright. You can't see the flare, but I used a lens flare for every shot, which is not something you usually would do, but I liked it for this particular shot. Brightened up the side of his face there. I brightened up Mike's face. Side of Kirk's face. I also brightened up his arm. It's all just tracked the same. Adjustment layer, this one. That one's Mike's hand. And Mike's face. Oh, it's labeled Mike's face. Friggin' brilliant. And, yeah, so that's what I did there. I didn't really bother taking out the... Oh, I have Rotobrush in this? Dang! Let's go to the first frame. Will it let me? No! Oh wow, massive frame drop. There we go. I didn't do a whole heck of a lot to get rid of the orange tip on his gun, as you can probably tell. Also, I really don't know what I was thinking when I was doing this film. Seeing as I mentioned a lot of things were made up on the spot, like this particular fight scene. Well, some of this fight scene. I don't know, I had some weird obsession, apparently, during the week we shot this, with the idea of everyone must run out of ammo, apparently. It wasn't even planned. I didn't realize that until, like, when I did the first test render of the entire film. And I realized, man, people run out of ammo a lot. Like, how many times do people run out of ammo? I think I actually had 1 or 2 more scripted, but we didn't use it. You know, in the actual fight scene, Mike and Kirk both run out of ammo after they launch like 1,000,000 rounds into me. We'll get into that later. Shortly after that, it's not really explained very well because it was a very short and quick scene. But Ezra then runs out of ammo without firing more than one. He fired 1 shot. I don't know what's wrong. Then it proceeds to go on where in the end of the video, in the end fight scene, Mike runs out of ammo, then Ezra runs out of ammo, just everyone runs out of ammo, and then Moose runs out of ammo. Moose is the villain. Everyone runs out of ammo, basically. Back to the breakdown, which has not loaded. Oh, that's why. Anyway, so for this particular shot, I am being held by Ezra and just sitting here. Basically, we have a version of this which is all roto-brushed out. Love roto-brush. It just saved me, even though it took me 5 months to edit the entire thing, doing like 10-hour days. Uh, the roto brush saved me probably another 3 months at least. At least, and that's only because the roto brush still took a long time because it hates me. Um, I also kind of find it interesting how you'll see a lot of people that'll have tutorials on how to do these muzzle flashes. I mentioned how I like doing them. I'll probably get into it a little bit more later in the final scene where there are a lot of gunshots. But yeah, we have this final. A lot of people will go all crazy and do a complex shot, and I'll watch a lot of movies and stuff where people are firing guns, and actually, usually in TV shows more than anything, like Prison Break and what else is there? Prison Break and like Criminal Minds and all that stuff. You'll notice when they're firing a gun, there's one, almost no emphasis on the fact that there is a muzzle flare, and two, they don't really do much fancy stuff to it. It's a very basic muzzle flare. There's not much given to it. So, just saying, you don't really need a very complex muzzle flare concept. So this, basically I had optical flares go off, tracked it kind of where he would be, and just wiggled the brightness a ridiculous amount. Just, and on top of that, I have this pre-composition that's just a bunch of blood hits going around where the body is. Nice and fun, as he's pelting me with a million bullets. And you can't really see the fact that they're just little ones because I'm in the way. That took way too long to explain, but let's go on. This, after Rotobrush decides to finish, because that is the one thing I hate, is the fact that Rotobrush takes forever to propagate. It does it a lot. But this was all hand-tracked, actually. There is a 2D layer missing that is supposed to separate everything. Oh, wait, no. Because this is only in a third of the quality, it's not showing up, but this is basically a blood splat that's on top of my body. If we just remove the matte, and it'll be roughly there. It was originally matted, so it didn't show up like this, but it was hand-tracked to my body. It worked pretty well, I think, actually. And it's just all bloody. And because, when you get 30 bullets or whatever shot through you, you'd be pretty bloody. And tracking is like all that happened in that shot. That shot is nothing. Then there's the slow motion shot, which was basically an attempt at using pixel motion to turn like 24 frames per second to like 7 million. Really didn't work that nicely, but it's better than nothing. And then there's the thing that no one noticed, probably ever, is the fact that I actually had a bullet going through. But who's going to notice that when there's that much motion blur and everything is focused on this area? And I guess for a slow motion shot, yeah, we can use all the lens flares we want, because it's slow motion, it's fun. You want it looking good, so lens flares. Also, this is a charge from the Action Essentials pack, which is an idea also brought up by Freddie Wong. They mentioned in one of their behind-the-scenes videos, I believe, that these charge, these charge files, are basically just slow motion muzzle flares just waiting to happen. So that's that. Scene 4, don't save. Why would I save? I don't care to save. and then this is not responding because my computer is amazing. Actually, it is pretty amazing. It was able to handle a lot of stuff I never could have asked of my old one. I got a new one in like June, so of 2013, in case there's some confusion on that. In case you're watching this from the future. In that case, hello, future person. What's up? Which it'd actually be kind of interesting to meet someone from the future. It'd also be kind of the scariest thing, because that unlocks a huge series of levels of thinking that I never want to have to go into, because you got to figure out how time travel works, and a lot of people think, oh, it's just a simple concept, but when you think about it and you really get into it, it just becomes so painful on the mind as to how things would work and all the possibilities for how things would work. It's just a painful thought. And this is not responding, which is fantastic, and now it is responding, which is about 40,000 times as fantastic, because not responding After Effects kind of sucks. Alright, so this is another one of the color corrections I tried, but yeah, it didn't work. So in every shot here, basically, I used the 3D tracker. This was the hardest shot to 3D track in the entire scene, and one of the hardest in the entire movie. But yeah, I added the Mustang and the Lamborghini. I believe I was originally trying to do a Mustang and a Bugatti, but I couldn't get the Bugatti. I had this amazing model for a Bugatti, but I apparently don't know 3ds Max enough, because it didn't show up. Like, I could load it up in 3ds Max, but it didn't show up as an actual object, so I don't know. So this, it actually kind of sucked when I was doing this, because as I mentioned, it is actually a Malibu under there, which made this very hard, because the Malibu and the Mustang, I realized the hard way, are not the same size. In fact, the Malibu is not a coupe, which was kind of weird, because I had to suddenly size up the Mustang a little bit more to make it cover the fact that the Malibu had 2 extra doors. And so Rotobrush is just going to propagate like an idiot here. Well, not an idiot, a jerk. 65. I believe I only have like 2 Rotobrushes. Alright, so yeah, we did this, and biggest screw up I have ever seen is I tried to make it sort of blend well. I didn't really feel like going back in and doing it. That's the mirror from the Malibu. And so when I moved this up, it just didn't work nicely, but it tracked pretty decently, so I'm happy with all that. However, the first shot, of course, who needs After Effects to work? No. I got too much crap going on. How big of a file do I have recorded? How absolutely massive this file is. I'm recording an MP4, which is actually only 165 megabytes for 50 minutes of recording. That's fantastic. Camtasia, like, I recorded for like 3 hours, and it was, I think it might have stopped recording because it ran out of space, because I know that my Camtasia, or let's just go to it. This thing here, my D drive, is actually, it only had like 72 gigabytes left on it, and I think that might have been why, because I have so much stuff on it because of Desktop Measures. Desktop Measures took like 500 gigabytes that I had, like, half of it's actually on my C drive because I just didn't have space for it on my D drive. So it's driving me insane. And I need to get it off my computer and try and not get mad. So, then we have this shot, which I really wasn't able to do it very well. It's basically Lamborghini comes out. It's going to suck to wait for it to propagate, and I want to get through this nice and fast. If possible, I'm already taking way too long. Anyway, I basically just used Element 3D to put these, put a Mustang in, use Rotobrush to put Kirk over the Mustang, or Troy Stillman as he was in the video, and put in the Lamborghini. No one was in either vehicle, which really sucks because the Mustang model doesn't even have an interior. But yeah. I like the way the Mustang looked other than that, though. It was, black with gold trims, just fantastic. And I got a little too shiny happy with it, so that's why it doesn't look very realistic. But in the future, I've gotten the shiny happy out of me, so I'll be able to calm down with that. But yeah, I just use group nulls, which are amazing, to be able to move the Lamborghini around. Sort of worked at it. We've got position, orientation, and Z rotation working into it. We've got a shadow track to the null, basically, so it has a shadow, because After Effects, or Element 3D can't cast shadows yet. I'm kind of hoping for the future. I don't know. I don't have the latest version, so it might. I kind of hope it does, because then I'm going to upgrade it, or update it. Ambient occlusion, I don't know why I did that, I just like it. Environment, yes! I don't actually have an environment listed here. Okay, interesting. I'm not going to go in and show you that yet. I got a better shot to show it with, but I believe it's 3 or 4. And, of course, After Effects says, no, dude. I don't feel like working. And now is this one. I cannot express how amazing this is. I think I'm gonna pause and wait. Never mind. I should just threaten to pause more often. Shut off that one. Turn on this one. If it wants to work. Which I don't think it does. Okay, I'll pause it now. Sorry about this. After Effects is annoying. Anyway, this one. Let's turn off the day and night the stupid adjustment layers. And so basically what we got here, we got the 3D models. It's all 3D tracked. To make it look a little bit more night-like, I put in the moon. Which is basically just a moon that I masked in. Really not a big deal, but it's also really annoying because you'd think the moon would be a perfect thing to have glow, but in a later shot I realized, wow, it sucks to try and make the moon glow. We got a Ferrari. Yeah, I labeled it Ferrari because I originally had a red and black Ferrari here. The Lamborghini model worked better. And So basically, what I did here is the best way to make something look relatively like it's in a scene is to have it reflect. And luckily with Element 3D, we are able to do some fantastic reflections. So using that, seeing as I didn't think, I should probably make an actual environment map while I'm here, because I went out and I was I was looking at it, it's like, it really doesn't look like it's part of the scene. I need it to reflect something. I tried the actual shot, and, well, that didn't work, because it's only half the shot. So I decided, what's a great idea? Going onto Google Street View. So I went to the location on Google Street View, and took a bunch of screenshots and made the worst environment map in history. There's even a chunk missing, apparently. But yeah, this is the worst environment map ever made. Ever. And I find it absolutely hysterical. Now I'd make an actual proper one now, but that's absolutely hysterical. It's quite funny. Anyway, so yeah, but it worked. It worked decently enough. And then on top of that, I took the rendered thing of Mustang. I auto traced it with the layer auto trace feature, which is very nice for making mats. And I used that and created basically the reflection of Kirk, because placing it in the environment, I tried it, it really didn't work very nicely, and I kind of like the way that this worked, so I did that. So that's like the entirety of this scene 5. No, we're not saving. Saving sucks. Stupid. Let's start with race extra. Yeah, now we go on to the race. Start with the basic shots. Yeah, I hate this entire scene. The color corrections don't match nicely, and I did horrible on it when I think about it. But basically what this is, we had them sit in cars. I couldn't get the camera to work inside the car, so suddenly we got the window, which was actually kind of nice because I could use the window. Yeah, I just sat on the front of the car and put it in. We just, seeing as the window actually has all these little dust specks and whatever, I was able to take a video of just moving through traffic, put it on top. It looked okay. I know things would actually be moving over top, but I was lazy. I did this entire, all these shots, literally in about 20 minutes. It was amazing. It was the fastest I've ever done anything in this entire video. It was so much nicer, and I basically I moved this within time, so it looked like it was not the same thing over and over, the reflecting. So yeah, that was the thing. 3D tracked it and had to do the adjustment layer because otherwise you would see that tree. So that's why I did that color correction. I was originally going to do so much more work. When I was originally filming it, I had so many more plans, and then I realized this is one of the later things I did in the video, so I was going to replace the background in the back window, and it was getting kind of late. I did a ton of work on the video already, and I decided it's time to finish it off. So, not saving that. Now for the actual race. Very simple concepts for the most part. There's a couple shots that are a little bit different. This entire scene for this I put into 32 bits per channel. Because 32 bits per channel allows me to do a lot more fun stuff with lights. which can all be seen on something like this. Quarter. Oh, not that one. And luckily there's no rotor brushing in this entire scene, I don't think. Because, well, there was nothing to rotor brush. The entire thing was done all in Element 3D. So, it was amazing. And, come on. Although it kind of sucked because I changed the model for the Lamborghini and the Mustang a little bit later in, so I could get certain things to work better, like those light up tires on the Lamborghini, which I really like. I don't like this one actually. Let's do a cooler one. But yeah, 32 bits per channel also makes that entire look much better. And I can show you the difference between 32 and the standard 8 in a minute. 32 bits per channel makes things look a little bit nicer. I'll pause it and come back. Oh, it falls for it every time. It's an idiot. It's hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, basically what I do after I've made the entire shot, this is what the original shot looks like. Looks kind of stupid. But we do nothing to this layer, duplicate it, change the top one to add, and then like drop the curves a ridiculous amount. Let's just do this step by step. Yeah. Drop the curves a bit. Turn on the glow, because glow's just nice. And the entire color correction was just Mojo. It looked nice for the shot, so I used the Mojo. And come on. Can I threaten to pause it? Oh, it did something. Anyway, yeah, it was done in 32 bits per channel because it looks a lot nicer. It's kind of hard to see, I guess, with this, and something looks a little wacky with the recording. Hopefully that's just because it's really small. Yeah, it looks a bit better now, although when it's done it looks better. Anyway, yeah, this is the actual scene. Whole thing done there. It's pretty cool. Let's get into how it was done. I showed you the color correction, very simple. And why is my mouse all red and yellow on the recording? I don't know. Must be one of the settings. I just downloaded it, so. So this is the original scene. I'm not sure why the streets have this little light thing. For Element 3D, these buildings are all from the Metropolitan pack. It's all the presets, actually, because I didn't feel like going too in depth. I added an environment map to all of them, which is just this. I changed it with a couple of these other random light scenes partway through. I did the entire thing and eventually redid the Mustang and Lamborghini models, as I mentioned, so I just copy and pasted the whole thing. I had to rotate it like 90 degrees for some reason. I can't remember why. It's been a while. Added a light to the entire scene to make it look less stupid and more night-like. And all these buildings are actually, like, these cars are actually barely moving. It's actually these buildings that are all just this absolutely massive amount just all being pushed back. It's much easier to move everything around your objects and animate them just in a little, animate your actual cars or whatever in very small amounts. Then to move the cars that distance, be still animating them, and move the camera with them. It'd be difficult. Anyway, that's actually pretty much the entire scene. There is buildings being moved back. We did some cool stuff actually. There is one shot that I can't remember which one is numbered. So I'll get back to you when I have that shot loaded up, because it might take a bit to... Alright, so this is the particular shot I was referring to, where we've got, it actually looks a bit more this-like in the final, which I actually love. It looks so amazing. The moon's quite a bit bigger than it would be in reality, I get that, but it looked cool, and it was a shot I had in my head that's just, I gotta do it. So what I did is, I have this bridge that I found online. It's just a model of a bridge, and it's in pre-comp. Is it in this one? Or? Yeah, it's just in this. I used a light to make it all weird. Here is the bridge. And it's got 112,000 faces, which is quite insane. I did not think I had anywhere near that many. But it actually looks kind of cool. I used just random pro shaders to make the all the textures, seeing as that's pretty much what I do for all the things, like the Lamborghini and the Mustang and everything. They were all like colored with the pro shaders entirely. And yeah, that's what it looks like. It actually looks pretty decent that way alone. You know, add some light to it and it'll look fantastic. So we got this light is being cast from behind it, so it gets all dark and that silhouette look. So as we move up, we've got basically an adjustment layer, whatever. Oh, can't solo an adjustment layer. And we also have this, which is how we make really pathetic and fake water in After Effects. So we take fractal noise, blur it out with fast blur a bit, and then we take that, we add an adjustment layer with displacement map. We tell it to do that. I also have Comp 15, which is this the bridge. I have the bridge there, and so I was able, seeing as I would then have the same like bump map applied to it, which is this weird water as it moves, because we can change the evolution on fractal noise. So as time goes by, the evolution increases. And so, using that, I sort of masked off a little piece of, well, I used linear wipe, apparently, and I made it extend and reflect a little bit into the water. Anyway, simple concept for the most part. Then I had to composite the moon and a shot of Chicago, which I masked out. Moon actually, turns out it sucks to make it glow, because it hates glowing. That's just my glow layer, and this is the basic, and thank goodness it looked decent with that. Anyway, that does it for this scene. Let's move on to what is probably going to be the more difficult scenes. Scene 6. We'll find out what this is. No, it's the scene in the middle of the field that really doesn't have much sense. Where we shot the sentence "hey," or even just the statement "hey you," like 7 to 12 times. I don't know why. I have like a million takes of Ezra saying "hey you," which is kind of funny when you consider the fact that we used one of them. And in half of them, he wasn't anywhere near the screen. I don't know. Michael decided to direct that scene, so it's just anyone's game then. Alright, so for this one, obviously, I hate hitting people, so I never actually hit hard in videos, which is why it looks so stupid when I fight. I should change that probably, but I don't know. I've got this thing. They're my friends. I don't feel like hurting them. But yeah, I basically punched him, masked him out here, and made little dust, just puffs of puffs of smoke that are tinted to red, and opacity lowered. Kind of looks a little bit like blood puffs, I guess. So that's that. This I'm scared to render in full resolution, because what it really is an absolutely massive amount of fake trees. There's 40, we got... So yeah, we got a stupid amount of fake trees sitting here. I'm just gonna take this off. We got a whole bunch of friggin' trees that were all composited on, and the only thing that really didn't sell this effect is, well, one, I didn't bother doing shadows for them, because that would be horrifying to do. And also, this part, I tried to take away the pathway that was there, and because this is what it actually was. Tried to take away the pathway there and replace it with grass, but I couldn't find a really good grass. Color corrected it a bit, and it looks better, especially with the color correction, which is around here somewhere. Okay, now Vegas decides not to work. Whatever. So yeah, that's what happened there. You don't know how many of these trees there are. We got, what, 13? We got a whole stupid amount of these trees just sitting there. And it was in the previous shot, which would, I guess, be 6. We have all of them with 3D tracker. I had to 3D track it like a million times to get it to work, but it turned out pretty nice in the end. So yeah, we have that. That is apparently a thing. Then there is another one of these. Oh, this isn't what I'm... Yeah, we've got this, which is the mailbox falling on me. Obviously, in the shot before it looks like I tried to shield myself from the shot. In reality, I tried to shield the mailbox from me, because the mailbox only weighs maybe 100 pounds, and I grabbed it like that so I wouldn't hit it with full force and knock it over, because the idea was it was supposed to fall back on me. Because I can take a hit, no problem. I just have the problem when I am supposed to hit other people, because without purpose I don't like hitting other people. Anyway, no need to defend myself right now. It's my video. I can do whatever I freaking want with it. I can have people punch without being like anywhere near them if I want, because it's my video. But anyway, yeah, I did that. I tried to emphasize it a bit more. by adding a dust blow. Not really a big deal. Really simple. For this, is this the one I'm thinking of? No, this isn't. This was when it landed on me. I added some dust underneath so it looks like it hit harder. We got number 4. This is the one I'm thinking of. This one was kind of fun because underneath here is the original. And if we take off paint, it's actually Michael. And he actually went down quite a bit farther. I probably should have done a little bit longer of this shot. It would have looked better. Yeah, Michael was dropping it slowly so we could get it to work right and get it to actually drop. And so basically what I did is I painted him out. I did that. I have one of these layers for his feet and all that. Yeah, painting with the clone stamp tool. Amazing tool. It helps with so many things. Something in your shot that you don't want there, clone it out. It works. Alright. So, what do we have next? Well, this is one of the stupidest shots I've ever done. It was originally supposed to be like slow motion or something. I just added a massive dust wave to... Yeah, like I mentioned, I don't like to hit people. It looks stupid. Massive dust wave. It wasn't the way I originally thought of it when I scripted it. But the way we did the dust wave, it was a shape layer that is apparently not showing up. And yeah, roto brush there. Shape layer apparently hates me. Oh, right. Because it gets bigger with time. That's why it's not showing up. Yeah, it gets bigger with time. It's basically a circle made with shape layer. It's stroke only, because I got rid of the fill. Blurred out the edges, turbulent edges, radium glow edge. What's that? Oh, it's that. Okay. Don't even remember adding that effect. And I did another one that's lower opacity. That's also a little bit thicker, so it has more of a fading effect. With the, I don't know, the actual like wave blast is actually it looks pretty good. It's just everything else that looks kind of stupid. Alright, what's this? There's also a gunfight in here somewhere that I'm gonna have some fun with. Yes, this. So this entire thing 3D tracked. So for one, I can put in this lens flare. I also originally had the stupidest color correction I've ever seen. Originally, it's basically, hey, let's see how hardcore of a look we can get, while making it look absolutely ridiculously stupid. But that was that. I also, seeing as the gun, which we broke on like day 2 of filming, this was day 4. So we had to fake a lot of it. We broke the handle, and it kind of sucks because I had that gun for several years. I like that gun for filming. It's very good. I'll have to fix it. But yeah, we broke the trigger. And anyway, on the back of it, I've got this little sparks coming out of it because that's where the bullet's supposed to be. Just the little effects that no one notices are always nice to add because it's just something that's there. Also, these wood hits. This is the first shot in the series of shots, so it's not the best example. Let's go to a later one. That is not as high. Actually, this one we can do pretty high resolution because it's no roto brushing and no element. But yeah. Add a muzzle flare, and yeah, here's muzzle flare. Actually, this one I only did add, which is a little weird. And then sparks, and this is the mask keeping it away. Anyway, it also, that way, adding this mask around. Let's see if we bump up this, and After Effects decides to work potentially. Can I threaten to stop recording? Will that work then? But look at that, it does. I really love that. I can threaten to stop recording and it instantly works. That's like 8 for 8 or something now. That's kind of fun. But yeah, it's got this little barrel. It's actually a cap gun, so that holds the caps. So when they went off, I added that little extra spark coming out of it, and it looks like they're being pushed back like they actually would be. Yeah, we actually had caps for it, but on the first day where we went through about 200 of them without even filming, we were waiting an hour for one of the other actors to get there, so we just were sitting around in the living room talking, and we ended up going through about 200 caps. So the entire room smelled like gunpowder. So yeah, basically on that we've got that going on. We also have these wood chips here, which are all tracked on to locations, so they look kind of realistic. They're basically a hole in wood, and we put them on top of everything here. The only problem with this theory is it didn't blend perfectly with the very fast changing light in the scene, because we were underneath a tree, I think. So I didn't realize it at the time, but yeah, the light flickers quite a bit in that particular shot, and it was all one shot for the whole thing, so yeah, that was less than fortunate. Then we have this, and we got stuff like this dust coming out of the ground, so apparently like Ezra missed. And how we did this is actually a really cool method that I cooked up in order to get things to work. If we can find it, there's this wonderful thing called color range. So basically I can mask out an area like this, and then I can figure out, okay, what color is in the background and what color is in the foreground, and I can see and use my intelligence to figure out what it is, but the computer can't. So I can use color range, click on, select the back color, like I can select this color, and I adjust the settings. The settings are extremely adjustable in my favor. So I use this a lot in the final fight scene also, as can be very easily observed, and I'll show you. I had a little bit more complicated of a method for doing that there, but the concept's still the same. Use color range, and it actually works fantastic, and it's very, it's not perfect, but it works very nicely. And you can also turn up the fuzziness, because we like things to be fuzzy. Don't know why. Anyway, I'm not going to save it, so it really doesn't matter if I make changes. And so that's the entire thing. Then Ezra jumps out and gets shot in one of these scenes. Yeah, but this shot, he jumps. Oh, this one, I've got Ezra. He shot the tree behind him. I did the same strategy here. Oh, this one I masked out this massive grass thing on top. This one, yeah. With that, I used color range once again, and dealt with that. Oh, well, okay, I'm mad at it. Color range, once again. Why did I mat that? I have no clue. Anyway, put a muzzle flare behind it, and I actually had some wood debris from the Action Essentials too. Like, everything is just Action Essentials, pretty much. It's essentially Action Essentials. Video Copilot has just so much good stuff. You can't help yourself but use it. So I had that going off, kind of just add that extra element of parts of the tree flying. I like that shot too, just jumps over into the tree. It's one of my favorite shots ever. I'm pretty sure my favorite shot I have ever shot, ever, of Everness on Mount Everest is, it's over here somewhere. It just looks, I don't know, even like with DSLRs you can, what's this one? Yeah, with DSLRs you can get all kinds of fantastic shots all the time, but every once in a while, even with what do you call it, point and shoot cameras or just cheap cameras like I was using, and yeah, I did the whole thing on a really stupid weak power shot. It's like $60 or whatever. At least that's what I could get it for. My sister got one that's almost identical for about $60. And of course, who needs things to work? But I love this shot because I don't know, it just looks great, and I can use all kinds of crazy color correction strategies, and it adapts, and that's a lot of what you can do on what do you call them? Can't even remember anymore. It's what you can do with DSLRs. Is you'll be able to get really cool shots a lot easier because you can change the focus and the saturation and everything. You can make the settings work. So this is Ezra. He's masked out, and behind him is the blood splatter. Really simple 3D track. Actually, you could do it with a 2D track and it'd be basically perfect. So anyway, once again, that is it for that particular scene. I go extremely in-depth on way too much. Actually, it's not even that really in-depth. Alright, scene 2. Oh, this one is going to be a party. And by a party, I mean a nightmare. You know, the kind of party you go to and then wake up realizing you just had some horrible nightmares as you fell asleep at that party for some reason. I don't know, who falls asleep at parties? That, like, destroys the entire concept. Sleeping at a party. No, you go to a party to party, although I hate partying. Point irrelevant. On to the next thing. Yeah, I'm just going to pause it and wait for it to work, and now it works. Now it starts coming in. I love how that works. I don't know how. It's like the computer's microphone has some sort of intelligence to it, which is hilarious and kind of scary at the same time. But, which means the computer has artificial intelligence, which I am unaware of. It also means that my computer is actually significantly better than it pretends to be. Because it, whatever. So this is one of the few that was actually 2D tracked, which explains why I actually really like this shot. It actually didn't suck with the track. And that's the unfortunate thing is, with having so so much ridiculousness going on in this entire scene. Okay, Okay, this is the biggest file in the entire scene. I'm scared to open it. Think I have the shots of Jeremy. I have to just keep turned off because it's roto-brushed and matted for like 16 seconds, and it's got everything turned on. It's just insanity. But you can see basically what I did. I have this holographic lights going around that I just used to light things up. I originally was just going to use them for like casting up these holograms of everything going on. I went through and I did kind of have some fun with creating these concepts, you know. I used an expression to make these numbers just go wild, and I don't know, I couldn't get the expressions to work perfectly the way I wanted them to. Text expressions I can't do necessarily. But yeah, I just did this. Bada bing, bada boom. Used a bunch of the Jets, or not Jet Strike, I don't have that one. The Element 3D projectile weapons models, and just had them go in and out. Crazy numbers going by. It's the launch times. And this is what I did wrong. I took it and I made this weird browser type thing. Used a bunch of these shape layers, because shape layers helped a bit. Related videos, I took 3 of the Saskatchewan Idiots episodes and just played them. This is just a constant recording of, like, this is the entire Desperate Measures 1 film. And I just put that on. What did I do wrong? This is Security Cam 1. It's like outside the base, where he enters. Simple. Woodstock Incorporated logo. I can't remember where I got this from, but I was originally going to make my own scope for the logo. I just forgot to. I uploaded it and I realized, oh, right, well, it's not worth it to do it just for that. Also, another thing that really helped with all of this is layer styles. Like for this, added inner shadow. Makes it a little more 3D depth. Looks a bit better. Also, please insert link, because I felt like it. I feel like making as much fun of the Woodstock, Thomas Woodstock, as possible. And let's be honest, with the scene where he invaded the base, it was too hilarious to let go. You know, don't know how many people noticed it. Some people definitely did. My dad noticed it when he saw. It's basically in every shot, Thomas Woodstock is holding the gun a different way. All of them happen to be wrong. So this, obviously, no one fires an M16, or what, I think that's M16. No one fires it like that. In every shot, yeah, it's a different method. Now he's holding it like that. Now he's holding it like a gangster. Now he's holding it over his shoulder. Every shot is just different. It was this little thing we decided to add that it was hilarious. Then he's holding it backwards in that. And here he holds it upside down. Anyway, you get the idea. It was this hilarious concept we came up with at the time. And, you know, for those who get it, like when I watched it originally with some of the guys, we couldn't stop laughing. It was quite funny. Easily the most entertaining part of the entire show, in my opinion. That's Security Cam. We already went through that one. And this one is the bad guy forums, and as I mentioned, with the not money and the not info envelopes from the beginning of the film, These are kind of this weird joke that we came up with, but being sort of, it is but it isn't. We're trying to hide the identity of something by just saying it's not the bad guy forms. So I just made this concept. It's all basically shape layers with masks, or just solids basically. So we got that. These two, the not enemies and the not friends, which I'm not sure who would be the enemy and who would be the friend there. Those are there, blurred out a bit. I also darkened them a little bit from the tab, which is up front. Here are the bad guy forms, and all of these are they're all jokes on previous. Oh, what do you call it? Like the name and what's all there. It's all jokes on previous villains. You can have fun trying to figure out which is which. But yeah, there's all kinds of weird little stuff that we like to put in on the side, and there's still some that some people don't notice. There's some I don't think anyone will ever notice, so I guess I could show this one now, just for the heck of it. One of these. Yeah, in this one, it actually has Greg sitting there in the background, who's the guy who ran off. He decided, I'm just going to be sitting here behind the tree to see if people can find me. Don't think anyone's ever going to notice that. I don't know, just like putting little extra bits in. Like in a lot of stuff, I'll put in Waldo, and there may or may not be a Waldo in this film. Or Slender Man. I didn't put that one in. I'll tell you that one, but I may in the next one. I like doing stuff like that because just little bits that no one notices are always funny. And that was all. Oh, I've got this one here. And time to global destruction, 3 days. And basically I just made a 3D planets, not really complicated subject, and I googled 4 locations, had them show up. It worked. I had everything just fade on by character, and it was, I like it. Shows the location, the capital of Russia, and the approximate population. Or, yeah, approximate population of the, of that particular city. And now, yeah, we got all these holographic lights. They originally were supposed to reflect on the floor, and they didn't. Anyway, we should be moving on a bit to some of the other shots, but basically, yeah, I stopped doing that because 3D hates me. It got so complicated in every shot. I just sort of started doing the whole I'm just doing what I can to get by, because this scene took me about 2 months straight, probably more. It was just non-stop days of roto-brushing everything. This entire scene was just roto-brushed the crap out of. So yeah, it was annoying. It's just all 3D walls to construct everything, 3D tracked on, well, this. And so he's just sitting there, da 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 da. 3D track that whole thing. It actually was a pretty good 3D track for that shot, which made me very happy because I was kind of worried about it. And that's the brilliance of those little track points that no one cares about. And so yeah, we did that. It's all 3D walls for that. I used motion tile to just make the walls ridiculously big. Masked out a hole for each of the doors we used. And really can't remember anything else. I'll get into how it was each of the fight scenes were done. Let's find one of them. But also, yeah, I realized one thing in 3D. Just a tip for everyone who's ever going to do anything of this sort. If you're trying to replace a scene with a 3D scene that you made up, preferably try to have the dimensions at least relatively the same, because I made the room and I realized later this room is not at all the right size, and I kept changing everything in each shot. As you can see here, it's all messed up. But yeah, try to get things to work and be about the right size, because so every shot I had to reposition these hologram lights things. Sorry. I also had to reposition the lens flares. Some of them I couldn't. I don't know. The 3D space in the optical flares plugin is apparently not the same 3D space in After Effects, so I had to sometimes just 2D track it on. Yeah, big surprise. Some of them I 2D tracked. Let's find one that doesn't suck, because I've spent way, stupid long explaining nothing. And that one's not a shot that really does anything. Well, at the very least, this is one of the hardest shots that I've ever tracked. I had to hand track this, and it was still a mess. I used tracker to make nulls, and even then I had to switch the target for the null 5 times because nothing of the background stayed on screen very well. However, the other one, I didn't have to hand track it exactly, but it was a 2D track, and this tracked quite amazingly. So yeah, we did that. From that, and it all tracked pretty nicely if it'll decide to load. It's got a whole bunch of roto brushing, because yeah, everything is friggin' roto brushed in this entire thing. It all worked pretty nicely, I think. So, and why motion blur isn't activated for that, I have no clue. Let's get into a shot with shadows, because I want to show how I did the shadows. I believe 11 had some good shadows. No, that's horrible shadows. That one had horrible shadows. No, this one should have something. And this one had, it's one of the earlier ones I did with the shadows. And I was really freaking out at first. Oh, no, it's not that one, it's the one after it. When I was starting to go through this, and I was thinking, man, I'm way in over my head with this scene, because one, I haven't a clue how I'm going to do this and track it properly. If something screws up, I am screwed. And half these shots, I have no idea how they're going to track. And two, man, I have no idea how I'm going to do shadows, because it's just, without shadows, it looks horrible. And I'll show you what I mean. Which is the shadows? Is this the shadows? Yeah, that's the shadows. That doesn't look good at all. So, what we gotta do is we gotta be stupid with everything. And so, like I mentioned, let's just move the mic closer to my new position. Alright, so, with the mic, what we gotta do, seeing as I mentioned previously, camera times camera equals stupidly ridiculousness. So we pre-comp the rotobrush shot, and that should not be there, but just change that to a guide layer, which means when you bring it into the new composition it like doesn't exist, because I think I forgot to do that on a couple layers, so it looked like they were all fuzzy, and that's because I got the exposure and fast blur. That's just what I decided to do. Change the opacity of this. You can change how bright your shadows are. I kind of emphasized them a little too much, and I think I should have overlaid them, because I found Multiply just bled into the scene way too much, and it just was kind of disgusting with how much it bled. And yeah. So I went into this, and it wasn't perfect. I thought it was better than this, but yeah, it's so it's all rotobrushed, and then seeing as I couldn't get it to work perfectly, I corner pinned it, RG corner pin, to position it where I wanted it. And seeing as yeah, I came up with this concept for making shadows, because, well, one, I needed a way to make these shadows. I put them in 3D space, flatten them to roughly about where the floor is. Seeing as the camera's already built into the scene, doesn't really matter what happens with that. It's the exact same motion as what is going on here, so the shadow will do the same thing that happened in the scene. Yeah. Sorry. So you don't have to worry about that too much. But what you do have to worry about is the fact that it kind of messes up when you try to do that, especially if you have more than one character. It's really hard, and then on top of that, in some of the shots, I did 2 shadows, because when you think about it, when you got all these lights everywhere that are all, I don't know, they're all sitting on the ground and they're doing weird stuff, they would actually be, they'd actually be casting multiple shadows all over the place. So I tried to do something with that. I probably should have actually just, I don't know, if we go into scale, if we go minus here, might get some, and we'd have to rotate and a whole bunch of stuff I don't really care to do. Whatever. But that's that. And that's basically the entire scene, actually. Oh wait, no. That's not the entire scene. There's still shot 4, I think it is. 4 or 6. I think it's 4. We cannot forget this shot. It was hysterically stupid to shoot, but we did it anyway. Where Thomas Woodstock decides, hey, you're not even a threat to me. And it was nice, because one thing I actually really like doing is, for like every tripod scene, every scene that doesn't move, pretty much, I added a After Effects camera, and seeing as I mentioned the 50mm preset is the standard for After Effects, I could just put that in. Seeing as there's only one character in this one, I can just turn on the depth of field. Seeing as he'd be only in one location, I don't have to worry about where his would be, like what his focus would be and stuff like that. So I was able to just blur out the other side, and it looked quite good, actually. Just a little tip there if you're doing something along these lines, especially if it's a tripod shot, just add a little bit of that depth of field, blur it, and the extra dimension it adds it's quite impressive. We've got all these things. I did my best to try and track what he did with his hands. It worked pretty good, actually, and I had these white solids that I turned into crazy things like that. So he threw everything I had, it all go into the junk afterwards. We got Ponyland, which is definitely gotta be one of my favorite games of all time after I invented it. Alright, where are these games? Yeah, we invented Ponyland apparently. Which is just something I whipped out. I grabbed an image off of Google for the pony. Did the heads that would go over top of this. Layer styles and shape layers are this entire thing. These two shape layers for username and password box. Give them inner shadows by shape layer and it looks great. This, add a stroke and bevel. Nice and simple. Looks amazing. Or at least it looked as amazing as it needed to. It was quite hilarious to work with, seeing as he had absolutely no idea that that's what I was going to do. I didn't even show that to him in the rough cut. In the final cut, I ended up putting in Ponyland and this little Facebook thing, which I just took a bunch of. I like the idea of using the logo for the F for the Facebook. But anyway, took a message box, put it all in, looks whatever. Keyboard pops up. Really doesn't matter. And then the one I did in about a minute is the launch Nerf Strike button. Yeah, and then I realized, wait, he doesn't press the button. Okay, and so I found out where he was, and I made this little thing that says slide to fire. Anyway, that's it for this scene. We can finally end it. Don't save. Why would I save? I'm deleting this anyway, shortly after I upload this, because I need more space for these, so I can be recording stuff and start working on this kind of stuff again. I gotta work. It's fun. Anyway, emerge from trees. This is an entire composition, or an entire After Effects file that was all this one shot where I have 8 versions of me just all coming out of the trees. Basically, I had the camera on a tripod, and I had it look at one position. Sorry. Had to look at one position. I went behind a tree with one of the guns. We had 4 guns that day, so I used each one twice. And I walked out of the trees relatively, I don't know, just that way. I just emerged from the trees. Unfortunately, seeing as it's a point-and-shoot camera, the focus distance changes quite a bit, and that's sharpened. Yeah, we did that, and I just meshed them all together. You know, masks and feathers are amazing. They really help deal with some of this stuff, although it's not perfect. And I realized the hard way that when Thomas Woodstock jumps behind here, I don't have him in the second thing, and he goes out of frame, and so I had to put that tree in the middle of nowhere to sort of block that off. And then I just created a camera and moved it around. Or did I? No. I didn't create a camera and move it around. I linked everything to one of these. I don't know, I linked everything to one of these layers and just moved everything around by using that layer, and it, I think it's 4. And see, you can just move things around like that. Simple, simple. Before the guns, this is an entire composition that had absolutely nothing to do with it. I was originally planning to do some sky replacement on the sky because it looked like crap because it was overcast that day, and it actually started raining, so thank goodness we recorded everything in order, which is actually a really big thing. If you're shooting outside, record all your shots in order so that you don't have to deal with rain. Well, you don't have to. Well, even just like the daytime dying on you, because it got much darker, and luckily, seeing as it was done in order, we were able to get that to work for us, and I like the fact that it actually did rain. I ended up liking it to the point where I added in rain later. And I have no purpose for this to be here. That's not what I'm trying to use. Open fire is all my shots starting from when Michael or the bounty hunter says open fire. So basically the two thugs, well, we had multiple thugs. It was just the two of us that day, though. Kirk and myself. I love working with Kirk. I don't know, I work so much better with him than anyone else, so it was nice. He came out that entire day just to basically die a whole bunch of times. It was quite interesting. It was right after he did one of his finals, so you'd think he'd be tired, but no, he comes out and he just dies a whole bunch of times, and he was really good at dying. So I was quite happy with that. So what we did for this shot, I don't know, I tried something a little weird with this, as I made this bullet come out. I was watching VGHS when I was trying to figure this out, how I would do it, and I saw they had this line come out, sort of representing a bullet, or a gunshot, and so I did that. I used particular, basically, just made a line, essentially. And I have this one. At least this one works, because it just... I used some more impactful sounds for these particular shots, so it just sounds like it's really firing at the ground, because it's kind of needed to get the impact with this. This is basically a dirt hole that's just tracked on. Simple concept, and I also have like this dirt flying up that ends up going into the next shot, where you can see a little bit of the dirt still flying up. Then we have the best bullet flex ever, or trigger flex ever. It's so funny. He fires the gun and just flexes. It's weird. Anyway, onto that. Yeah, just brighten up the area around it, because it is like a whole bunch of fire coming out. So that's what we do. And this is another concept I was trying. The earlier shots in this file were some of the earlier shots within, like, the amount of what I was able to do and what I learned throughout this, the making of this film is drastic. I love making films, because every time I make one, by the end of it, I'm already to the point where, man, I could do so much better. I haven't done a film in a long time where I haven't been able to say that I could do so much better by the end of it. See, I had like a particle stream trying to follow it. I tried the same idea, I just tried a little bit different. Bullets go through, whatever. This, we have a whole, I used the same concept as when I was in one of the first shots when I was being shot at from the back, like, and the camera was in the back, and I had all the blood coming off of me. I just have a bunch of these like spark hits and couch hits, just all going off behind a mask of this block. So that's rather simple compositing, and fires kills us both, and we're dead. And it was kind of fun just dying non-stop. Then we have the bullets come in. He gets shot from the back, and apparently without being able to see what's going on, he still got missed twice, because the logic in this film is so flawless, and no one ever, it's like we had a shortage on ammo too, because we all ran out. Anyway, it's quite funny how much we run out of ammo. But yeah, I have just took those two, track them in. Motion blur is like your best friend if you are doing anything with action. Use motion blur. Anything with movement or blending things into a scene, motion blur is like the best thing in the world. I'm not really going to get into how to do that right now, because I actually have a tutorial I'm planning on doing sometime. I don't know, it's one of the things on my list of tutorials. Is one of them is a guide to how to do guide to the basics of action. So anyone who wants to get started with doing action films to any degree, I got like this little starter toolkit that's going to explain how it all works. And I'm also going to do that for just basic editing in general, because they're two completely different things. One's going to be a lot more After Effects based, one's going to be a lot more, well, I'll probably use Sony Vegas, but it's going to be more based on other things. Oh, I completely missed the effects on this shot. Basically, I 3D tracked it. Those are tracked to the spot. Then we have... I like how when someone's moving and I have nothing there, but there's supposed to be like these bullets coming up, I can place them wherever I want. So I can have in each of these times something comes up, it's like just barely missing them. I love how I can do that. It's a very cool effect, because you can make things look like they're getting so close to them. This is also a personal favorite shot of mine, because I like this, just following the guy along the chairs. So yeah, 3D tracks, everything's going through. I like that shot. And apparently, despite the chair getting shot by a bullet here, it doesn't move, because everyone knows that chairs are made of titanium. This is the most complicated, complex VFX breakdown I've ever witnessed, and I'm the one making it, and I really don't know if that's an accomplishment or not. Anyway, this, basically the way that I got, like I have this mask here, that basically just gets bigger around the blood stain on the ground, so that way it looks like, yeah, I have it animate so it gets bigger, so it looks like it's actually bleeding out to maximum length. And it's kind of weird knowing that this is actually faster than the original one I did, and better. The commentary is not nearly as tired and bored, but there's something about talking for 2 hours straight that really starts getting to you, and your whole body just starts to feel weird. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm losing oxygen because I'm talking, or I don't know. However, if anyone says I talk too much, seriously, shut up. It's a commentary video, that's the whole point. I think I had someone mention that I do vlogs on another channel, and they're just like ridiculously long. They're like, I have one that's almost 5 hours long, and it's just me going around talking about random stuff, and it really has no serious purpose. And I think on one of them I had someone say, "You talk too much," and it's just it's kind of funny. Why are all these at full? Right. So yeah, this is the same thing. Why am I going through all of these shots that don't do anything yet? This one was kind of interesting. Just had him fire off a bunch of shots. Also, I guess an interesting thing to note is the fact that you can Google like gun libraries online. I really recommend doing it if you're doing anything with action. And I've got hundreds of just sounds of guns being fired. So I was able to actually use specific guns for each of the characters. So Michael Solid has, I believe, a Desert Eagle sound. Ezra had a Glock, I think. I can't remember. Let's find out. Where is him firing a gun? There's got to be one here. That's not what I thought it was. There's got to be it there. They're all named. Oh, he got the Desert Eagle. Anyway. And Michael got the M9, I guess. So yeah, I was able to use a lot of different guns, and I was able to get them relatively similar to the gun that was actually being used. So I used the MP5 for when I was being shot with what I think is like the MP5K. I don't know. I'm not a genius with guns by any means. So this is where I use that method of blocking things out with color range. It's actually quite genius, I think. So I basically make this matte to jump over it. Start off with this. I rotobrush them out because, well, they're going to get in the way of the track of this thing. I have another one that is this without the color range, and then I just add the color range in, block off the background, go crazy with these things, figure out what works best. Then we've got the tree. So yeah, color range, it really, I can't express how amazing it is, because I realistically should not be able to get all these dirt charges all looking like they're actually behind this grass. It's actually, I don't know, it really is amazing. So we do that. We should probably start exiting out of some of these files. Don't understand what I was thinking when I did this one, but it's like, okay, you see that big gun you've got? I want you to put it down and take out your pathetic plastic revolver. Although he really liked that revolver, so it really wasn't an issue. I don't know, there's this little plastic revolver I got at Dollarama, and it worked pretty good. That also broke on the 4th day. This was the final fight scene was shot on the 2nd day, so that worked. But yeah, it broke on the 4th day. Like, everything is just caboozled with it. I think it broke twice that day. But it was the last day we needed it, so we shot in 5 days. The 5th day was with Jaden, who is the boss, like the Ezra's boss, this guy. So yeah, we went over there and shot that. This one, I like this one because it was kind of interesting. He's got his gun going off behind the tree. I use the the color range technique again to get in there. I also tracked this spot, so I was able to make, as you can see here, it's got this little patch here. I basically took a image of what's here, matted it up, and used the shatter eyes effect to be able to make it explode, which is actually kind of cool. You know, I did it on one that's lower on the tree also, but which is when he got shot in the shoulder. You can see in when he supposedly got shot in the shoulder, there's actually another one that explodes and creates a hole that we kept there, but it's not as visible. So anyway, that was that shot. It was an interesting idea to actually have something like shatter and have the gun go through the tree. And that's an easy way to get that effect off. That was really nothing but a basic track, and that's the end of this. And obviously that's not the end of everything, because if you've seen the video, after that is when things get real. So that's why we have the entire project file called Moose, which is when Moose, who is the leader of the bounty hunters, it's when he goes nuts. And when he's like, "Ugh!" He goes like Super Saiyan evil version or something. Ugh. Alright, I'm gonna pause, and when this is all set up, I'll come back. Alright, so we are back! And it didn't feel like that long, did it? Well, I played a whole bunch of Candy Crush. Well, I was gone. And I didn't realize that it actually started up a long time ago. Anyway, doesn't matter. I was bored. So here we got basic 3D bullet moving through space. Mask on top. Way too basic to bother with. Set this to quarter resolution because maybe that's going to make things work faster. I don't know. But we sure gotta hope so. Because this is the worst shot of the entire movie. It was originally a certain idea, except we couldn't get this guy to want to jump right. He didn't understand the idea, and I felt so bad for him that day, because I originally had this incredible scene planned out, but I soon realized on set that, man, I can't trust other people to... I can't exactly trust all the other people here to be going off and filming other stuff, because Moose and Matthew there, the guy who's jumping, I originally planned to have them have a massive fight scene, and I was going to have them film it elsewhere by the vehicle, and it was going to be awesome. And I had gotten these little plastic swords that are like a couple bucks each, and they look realistic enough, but they're also plastic, so they're amazing because you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. You can spin them around and whatever. They don't weigh anything, and if you would theoretically cut your arm off, you don't, because it's imaginary. I was going to turn this guy who was essentially nothing in the movie into like the greatest hero of all time. He was going to be the most awesome character I have used, but basically through this fight scene, but I didn't have anyone to work with. Jaden said he was going to plan to come out that day, and I could have used him as the director for that mini scene, which would have been really nice for me, because I could have focused a bit more on this and not felt bad, because he was there for like all day and did nothing, and I felt horrible. But well, it's also a little bit because I had written the script, and then he said, I want a small part in the script, so I gave him a small part. It was bigger than this, but I don't know, it was near the end of the day, and things were so pressed for time. We were running out of time so fast that we had to move on as fast as I possibly could. And yeah, I felt horrible. Anyway, here we got the opening of the unsheathing of the sword. So he takes it out. I've got these sparks going on moving with them. I've got some coming from there, some coming from here. I have one of these dust like everything from Action Essentials, pretty much. I got this dust eye tinted black coming at the camera. For each of the shots, I have a little bit of this over top to break the fact that you see all these, they're just generated within particular. Yeah, I use this like a smoke element here, or not this one. I used this smoke element that just moves around, and I had it play throughout the entire thing, and that was this weird dusty thing. And on top of Moose, in each shot I put in, and it's all 3D tracked, so it all works, and 3D tracking it's hilarious and amazing, and it's evil at the same time. And that alone is an achievement. But I've got all these this red smoke elements going on. I have them red because sort of it symbolizes that he's evil. I originally had this really cool effect for his sword, but it became way too complicated to do. It took so long to do, and I didn't want to spend that much time. I did it on this shot. So, it originally, I never completed it, but it looked a little something like this. Let's see. I can't get it to work. Basically, I had this run of particles going up his sword and then flying up, and it looked pretty cool. But it took so long to do the sword by itself, and then I had to get all the stuff working. It just took forever to do, so I didn't do it because it took way too long. Then there's this really weird shot where I decided to define his powers because it really didn't make sense, because he sort of butted him in the back of the head and he moved to the side, and it really didn't matter, or it really didn't make sense, which is actually kind of reminds me of one of these shots in the fight scene where he is right, this one. I love this shot. He hits him, and he falls forward, because that's what people do when they get hit in the head. They fall towards what hit them. It was kind of funny because that we actually had to take that a couple times, because in one of them he decided to make his own sound effects. I've got that in the blooper reel, the behind the scenes reel, whatever I'm gonna end up calling it. And he's just boom. That's literally what he says. Also, I think that's kind of funny because that's exactly what happens in this scene. Also, is we originally had one where Moose said boom right as he hit Michael. Interesting. Those two shots are almost they're so similar. But yeah, we had this. I have Moose over top. I used this as a matte. I rotobrushed Michael out. Actually, I think I just masked it, or no, rotobrush, I guess. Yeah, because rotobrush is just fantastic. And I have this random fractal noise. I used the blocks, and I just made it randomize as much as possible. I randomized the colors a ridiculous amount. And I had it fade on with a circle mask. And it was that simple. And on top of that, I just had some of these bright blue circle masks. So, yeah, that. And that was the entirety of that effect. I also have a lens flare. Oh, excuse me. Ooh, lens flare. Because lens flares, really, they're so fun. They can turn so much stuff into absolute awesomeness for no good reason. Is there any particular shot that really has any purpose? They're all pretty much just that particular thing. They're all pretty much just particular, using that smoke to go through. And this one's a little screwed up because I'm in third, I think. Yeah, I don't care about that shot. I wanted this one. Is probably the best one to show what I did for. There was also, yeah, a bit more to the smoke that I did. I also, oh, come on, I have, you'll notice there's a bit of warp here. It's because I took oh yeah, I also mentioned I added rain, CC rainfall, just adds a little bit of extra rain. Not looking for anything serious, I just wanted that little background effect. Little effects that no one notices. But I took the particular layer, which is all this. And on top of that, I've got some smoke layers and dust at cam. Anyway, I took the particular, and I made an adjustment layer, which is alpha matted to it. And I just added turbulent displace. However, now that I think about it, I probably should have used a displacement map and just mapped it to this particular layer. I don't know. Maybe next time. But I do think the effect, for the most part, worked very nicely. There were some shots that came up, like this one, that came up with absolutely ridiculous levels of distance, because that's the way that the camera tracker within After Effects is sometimes it gives you ridiculously far away distances, and particular can only do so much. It came up doing some stupid stuff, so yeah. Actually, on this particular shot, I actually have two instances of particular going on, and they're feathered, and they're all at the absolute maximum values of size and everything, and it's still so small, and but it just looks horrible. I hate that shot the most. And this one's just weird, goes around and kicks whatever, and somewhat after this, then we just have we go into the building, and there's a whole bunch of these explosive barrels, which are lighted by the light. Why is the light not changing anything today? I don't know why. So yeah, we have these barrels. There we go. It's weird, like today the lights just decide to not do anything when I turn them off. Yeah, we light them with the light, and it blends them nicely. Takes forever to load up, apparently. But it blends them nicely. Oh, let's turn off the motion blur. It makes things much better. And I actually like the way that the light reacted to these. It actually looks very real. I changed the light to a bit of a bluer color as it opens, and then darkened it down. I used the same shadow concept as I did before. I roto brushed him in, and then I overlaid it on top of these barrels, so it showed up as sort of a I feathered it on with opacity, and as you can see here, it shows up as a bit of a shadow, and it just adds that little extra bit of awesome to the scene. And for some reason in that shot, we just left one of the guns out. Because apparently it's like a video game where just after someone dies, they just poof away. I actually had to do that in one of the underground base scenes. A bunch of Nerf darts get fired at Ezra, and I literally just had them poof up into smoke because I didn't want to have to keep dealing with them. And then we have the cigarette drop somewhere around here. This one! Cigarette drops, and to get the purpose of why it blew things up, I put in a grenade, and I took out the pin. And there's cigarette, and I took in a grenade, took out the pin, put them in 3D space. They're both from the projectile weapons pack, and it's very basic concept for elements. You just turn off everything but one of the layers, and I took off everything but the grenade, and then I took off everything but the pin in another spot, and so I can move them aside. I made these. I also did the barrel, and from there, I got each of these. Sorry. Then I made the shadows for them all by moving them all a little over to the left and fast blurring it horizontally a lot, and setting it to multiply, because overlay I don't think works as nicely. No, I wanted it a bit harsher for this particular shot, so multiply, and it created this nice like radial type of shadow. I really liked it. I was kind of sad that I didn't get to see it in as much detail after I had to add the color correction, although that's not the color correction I used, I don't think. Anyway, we didn't really get to see it as awesomely. And then the building explodes, because everything makes sense. I originally was going to have a whole bunch of like the gasoline liquid on the ground, but I didn't have time to really do that, because when I'm in the middle of a production, I don't have time to be learning a whole bunch of new stuff, like how, at least not like an entire program of the caliber of 3ds Max or Blender or whatever. I know the basics of Blender, but every time I try to do like a liquid recreation of stuff, like I suck at like 3D programs in general, because I just lack that dimension of mind. I can't seem to see things that way, and it really screws me up every time I try to use it. On top of that, every time I try to make a liquid simulator, it just kills me. It hates me. Anyway, on to this. I made the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. I had to make this building explode. I had this weak little video of it, so I went to town on it. It's like, okay, I got the what elements do I have here? I don't have any way I can really distort it. I can't 3D model it and blow it up. I know the basics of how to do that in Max, but it would take forever to learn how to model it. I don't know. There's a difference between understanding how it works and knowing the program well enough to actually do something. There really is a difference there. I don't have the ability to confidently do that, and I was going to do that in like V-Ray and just blow it all up, but I didn't have that option. So what I looked at it and said, okay, what elements do I have here? I have the door open, which I can use. That'd be fantastic. So that's what I did. For the first explosion, I have found this little rocket explosion in the explosion folder for the Action Essentials pack, and so I decided, I haven't used this one before. I like it. And then I also, at the same time, decided to have these sparks come out from underneath it. I have like a million layers, 50 exactly. I have exactly 50, and I've got all these mats I've got the one of the house, and I just masked it out throughout the duration of it. I've got the deck, I've got the door, I've got the underhouse, which is like this little bit here, so I could have the sparks come out. And on top I've got the leaves. Using, you guessed it, the lovely color range. I had to use color range a couple times there to get it to work, but yes, color range! Lovely color range. Alright, let's move this a bit. There. Lovely color range. And boom. And we're back to the whole thing. From there, I went in and it's just, what ridiculousness can I do? So I also have smoke apparently coming out of there. I forgot about that one entirely. The little things that no one notices. They're just so good. I have an explosion coming out of there. I have two, I think. Another one comes in a second. Yeah, there's another one there. I masked out the window. I've got a window mat around here somewhere also. Oh, it's got to be lower, I guess. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in here, and when oh, that's it, actually. Yeah, I did that. And I had things so they fade on and in, and I also have this, you can barely see it, but I've got a little bit of the fire underneath it, and I tinted it a little bit so it's, looks like it's actually behind the blue, it's a bluish window, so I looked like it's a little bit behind it. And then it explodes! And the fact that I used two masks for this, one that keeps it underneath the window so it looks like it's actually going up, and another one to let it go outside so it looks like it's actually going through the window. I forgot to color correct do the final color correction of all these elements at the end, which is kind of lame on my part. And then I used some of the greatest tricks of all time for fixing problems with video. Is 1, motion blur. 2, lens flares. I used that lens flare. I very heavily used this lens flare in this shot because it just didn't quite work, and it looked pretty cool with the lens flare. I also have a barrel flying through space into the great unknown. Follow me into the great unknown. No, I'm not singing that song. Anyway, yeah, the barrel comes out, and I wanted a way to make it look like it's coming out of the fire. And I didn't know how I was going to do that. And I wanted it to look somewhat like that. So I Luma inverted matted it to the fireball and added a stupid amount of effects to the fireball. That's what the fireball, I also lowered the opacity. That's what the fireball looks like. And then, so I added the barrel. Oh. And the barrel sort of exists in that space. And it looks kind of like it's blended with the fireball and slowly transitions to being in reality and just in your face, man. And it took a while, seeing as I didn't have it wasn't done right, so it took a while to get the motion looking good for that barrel flying through the air. I also added a little bit of illumination to the barrel and all kinds of weird stuff that probably aren't exactly the smartest idea in this. Yeah, I added illumination. Didn't do that, but fog's weird. But I had no environment, because what am I going to use for an environment? Let's see, it doesn't even reflect enough to make it really matter whatsoever, but let's go house. Yeah, it doesn't really matter because it's got 0 reflectivity, and I also bumped up the bump map on it a bit from what it was. Basically, I found it online though. Just search free models, and you can find some amazing stuff for free. All the models were either from After Effects. Yeah, they're all the third-party models are basically just free stuff I googled for, and then I just have this massive set of explosions going on here, and it transitions nicely into the next shot, which is 73, which kind of sucked. Actually, no, because I originally had it in a different order. This is what it actually is. It's 74. And so then we have the explosion happening that we just saw. And it's all boom. Like, that's actually a ridiculously massive explosion. And I have the 3 barrels coming out, and I realized after I uploaded it, I forgot to do the shadows. I spent a while trying to get these barrels to look good, and then I realized, oh crap, I forgot the frickin' shadows, and I was so mad. Because it looks kind of stupid without the shadows. Well, I can't get it to load fast enough because it's kind of massive. Okay, here we go. Now that the explosions are gone, we might be able to get some progress. But I was a fool to think that. And so I have them go around. They line up, and I don't think I even have a reason for why they exploded, but they just exploded as he's walking away, and for that reason alone, it's epic. Because cool guys don't look at explosions. It's just like the movie rule. Anyway, so that is basically the entirety of this entire thing. So I have no idea how massive this file is going to be. But thank goodness I'm using debut video capture instead of Camtasia, because now it's not 70 frickin' gigabytes. Alright, and also, debut video capture, it saves directly. It doesn't take like 7 years to render or save like Camtasia. Camtasia, it took about an hour and a half to render until it's decided to save, and then it decided to tell me, oh wait, I'm not going to save anything. If Camtasia was just sitting here on my desk, I would just punch it. I don't know how I'd do that, but anyway, you get the point. So that is the video. I can now move on with my life. After this sucked my life away for 5 freaking months. So, oh no, my mug. I knocked over my mug. Not a big deal. Anyway, there was no apple cider in it right now, so I don't know. Some people like coffee. I drink apple cider. It's Christmas time. Anyway, alright, so on that note, Merry Christmas! Maybe. I don't know. If you celebrate some other holiday, happy holidays. If you don't believe in Jesus, in the whole Christmas idea, hey, it's Christmas, free presents or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. It's a holiday that really doesn't require the discussion to be bothered with. It's Christmas. It's become a holiday. Just get over it. Anyway. So, until then, goodbye. My name is Taz Olsen. For now, somewhat sometimes. Depends what I feel like being called. Anyway. I should shut up now, because my brain's just all weird after almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. Anyway, goodbye.